First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody here today for the celebration of Pete French's life and the contributions that he's made to Brighton Schools and to the Brighton School Alumni Association. He was clearly an inspiration for many of us, and you'll hear a lot more about him in a few minutes from Mary Jane. But I'd like to take this opportunity to let you know who worked on this project and was responsible for the planning and implementation. I'm going to use a cheat sheet because I don't want to miss anybody. First of all, Mary Jane Link, and where did she disappear to? There she is right there. Please stand. Dr. Michael Gruner. Oh, you're waiting on that. He's the assistant principal here at Brighton and has been my principal liaison with the school as we've worked through this project. Lou Alimo. Lou is the assistant superintendent for administrative services in the district and took care of some of the financials for us, and that's been very beneficial. And Howard Ennis. Howard is the current media specialist here in the library. There's been another person that I've worked closely with, and he generated a lot of input from the students on what this should look like at the end of the day. And we're very pleased to have had their input and to be able to incorporate that in what we've ultimately done. And you'll see some of that later. The former DHS media specialist, Andrea Cock, she joined us when she was serving in that position and had a lot of good ideas, went online and pulled a whole bunch of stuff together and really got a lot of this rolling. Doug Eckert, who I don't think is here this afternoon, is in charge of the facilities and grounds here, and he and his crew, specifically Rob Luce, who's also not here unfortunately, were very instrumental in putting together many of the things that we needed in the way of work on the various projects, including the lighting for this particular glass art. Another person who's not here is Norma Goldman. She's a class of 63. She's a certified interior designer, and she helped us with some of our design selections. And then we have Nancy Baum, who is the artist who created this masterpiece. Nancy has worked very closely with us and with the students to come up with a design that we feel embodies much of what Brighton High School is about and is an inspiration that it takes into account what Pete would have students learn from their education. And last but not least, another member of our committee has been Bev French, Pete's widow, and Bev has contributed not only to the planning and design of this, but also has presented us with some memorabilia objects, which you'll find in a display case out by the entryway if you haven't noticed it already. From the very outset, we also received very significant support from other members of the administration, specifically the principal, Dr. Tom Hall, who couldn't be with us as well, and Dr. Kevin McGowan, who is the superintendent of schools here at Brighton. They, along with the Board of Education for Brighton, wholeheartedly endorsed this project right from the beginning and made it possible for us to work through what we needed to do in order to enable it. So appreciate those. And last but not least, I really can't not say something about the late Pete Heinrich. Pete passed away fairly recently. He was the driving force for this memorial project. And Mike Gruner will talk a little bit about that in a minute. But Pete had a great heart. He and Pete French and Bob Lambricks, who's way in the back, were the co-founders of the Brighton Schools Alumni Association. And they've worked together for many years, and Pete was a very significant part of that. Pete Heinrich was a very significant part of that as well. So we appreciate Pete Heinrich's efforts, and we know he's here in spirit. At this point, I'd like to introduce the members of Pete's family who are here. And we'll start with Henry French, Peter, I guess, and his wife, Patty. Susan French and her husband, Richard DeGregory, and their children, Maxwell and Julia.
Hey.
And then Dean French and his wife, Cindy. There we go, sort of separated. And their children, Charleston and Taylor. And unfortunately, one of the sons, John, could not be with us today. But again, I'm sure he's here in spirit. This project raised over $34,000 for this particular initiative. And with that money, we were able to do a number of things to help brighten the atmosphere here at Brighton, no pun intended, and make it a little more aesthetically pleasing and also add to the functionality. Some of the items that we included in the implementation are a set of brand new furnishings for a student alcove area, which is located on the lower level. If you go to the back of the library, as when you break up here and go down the spiral staircase, which by the way also has carpeting that was provided as part of this, you'll see some brand new furniture came all the way from Germany, and the students were the ones who selected the furniture, and it has served them well for the hour, so that's great. We put in some enhanced LED lighting around various areas in the library. We also have a custom designed display case, which you'll see in the entryway if you didn't notice it when you came in. That's intended to house not only a little bit of memorabilia from Pete French, but also all of the alumni authored books that have been produced over the years. We have over 200 of them in our collection now. Many of them are sitting in the display cases out in the hall at this point because with summer, many of the classes have their reunions and they like to tour the school and they'd love to see their books on display. And so that's where they are at the moment. Finally, the centerpiece really of this project is the artwork that Nancy did. And we're going to unveil that shortly, but before we do, I'd like to offer Mike Meter a chance to say a couple of things on behalf of the school.
So this is really kind of a tale of two Petes, Pete and repeat. Two great guys. I've been here in the district now 5 years. I really had a wonderful opportunity to meet these great guys and learn a little bit about Brighton's history, but more importantly, learn about what it takes to be a good person and how to teach that to kids, which comes in handy in my role. So 2 years ago, Pete Heinrich came to me as a member of the BSAA, school district representative, and said, we'd like to do something to honor Pete French. He loved libraries. Let's go up and talk to your library. So we came up, walked around, and Pete just said, what do you need? What do you want? What would make this a better place for the kids, a more welcoming place, for students to come and celebrate the love of learning? So before I get into a little bit about the collaboration piece, I want to thank Steve again for all the work that you put in, the countless hours, the fundraising, all the work you did with your class and other classes. Pete Heinrich had a dream for all of this, and you helped make that dream become reality. So thank you, Steve. So the goal of the Brighton School Alumni Association really, as I've learned to embrace it, is to take the students of the past, our alumni, and connect them to the students that are currently here at the school, as well as the future students that are going to be coming to the school. How do we keep that legacy of Brighton alive? What makes Brighton so special, and the traditions and all the things. Even though the face of Brighton is changing every day, every year, and the generations come and go, the core of what makes Brighton Brighton stays the same because of the efforts of the Brighton School Alumni Association. And the idea of making those connections from past to present to future. And this artwork that will be unveiled very shortly really represents that collaboration between alumni, Nancy, coming to the school and working with students that are here right now in our school, collaborating and talking about Pete, talking about what he loved, and talking about the things that were important to him and what's important to Brighton as a community, and collaborated to really create something out of a blank piece of glass, which is really amazing. I could never do it. My hat's off to you. It's quite amazing. And I sat in those meetings where people were collaborating and students were sharing ideas. And one of my favorite moments as Nancy, as an artist, was trying to bring all of these diverse ideas together into one piece, and it was really complicated looking, and we were all looking at it, and Anna said to you, it just seems like you're trying to please too many people. Just be you. You want to see what you got. And then whammo, it just came out of thin air. It was just amazing to watch it happen. So thank you for all of that. I think that this artwork and that collaboration on all the efforts that went in between alumni and present teachers and our art faculty and our students that were involved. Everybody is the kind of thing that I learned from the Pete's. And I really think that when we see this and we see it, I'll see it daily, thankfully. But this will remind us of what that all really stands for, what makes Brighton Brighton, and why we are here, because it's such a special place. And I feel in my heart of hearts that Pete will be very proud of the work that happened around this project. So thank you very much. And thanks for being here.
Raise your hand to say a few words about Pete French.
First, I have to say my own many thanks to Steve, who has phenomenally spearheaded this project, leaving no detail left behind. Instrumental in the founding of BSAA were the two Pete's, as you've heard 20 times already, and also Bob Lambert's. And I'm so glad Bob is here. 16 years later, Bob is still involved, and sadly we have lost the two Pete's. I must say, I began attending the meetings because they were such fun. Camaraderie was key to all of the accomplishments because everybody just had a good time and did things too. If I tell you they called each other Fritz and Bubba, you get the idea. I was dubbed Brunhilde, the strong woman, when I was joined Pete Heinrich a few years ago as Pete French's health failed. Pete was French. It's so hard with two of them. Pete French was such a core member of the original team, and we are here today to honor both his involvement in BSAA and his total devotion to libraries. Pete graduated from Brighton in 1953. He received his BA from the University of Delaware and a master's degree and a doctorate from the University of Rochester. He retired from MCC in 2006 after 41 years of dedicated teaching and service. Pete also held a joint appointment at the U of R in the East Asia Center, traveling as a guest lecturer. Pete served on numerous boards, including the MCC Foundation and various Monroe County Library boards, including as a library trustee and president for the Rochester Public Library. Throughout his life, Pete believed in giving back. In 2010, he received the Outstanding Volunteer Fundraiser Philanthropy Award for his efforts to raise money for the organizations he cared about. He also received the Harold Hacker Lifetime Achievement Award from the Rundell Library, and you can see both of those in the case over there. We are pleased to dedicate these improvements to the library in Pete's name. We feel they are totally in keeping with the things that Pete cared about. I am only sorry he's not here today to rejoice with us in the changes we have been able to make using him as our inspiration.
We've all been waiting for the unveiling of the glass art, and I'd like to ask Maxwell, Julia, Taylor, and Charleston to come up and do the honors, but wait for just a moment. And Nancy, you will come up and talk to this. Thank you. Now I got a picture. Nancy, please. Need you up front as well. Give me a count. Nancy's going to share a little bit with us about the design and the elements that make up the design. Obviously, we're quite pleased, and she has embedded a lot of things in it. We invite you to look for the bowl and the chicken.
Well, Pete Heinrich came to me a few days more than a year ago to chat with me about the possibility of designing a window in honor of Pete French. He asked me if I could design something that was not your normal memorial window. They wanted it to be really unique and something that conveyed in a sense who Pete was. Well, so I started doing my research on Pete. I called Bev, and Bev chatted with her family members. I said, tell me about Pete. And I had pages and pages of information. I thought, oh my God, how do you put this into visual terms? You know, his interest in politics and history and Asian studies and education, and you know, I read letters from some of his past students that were just very, very touching. And I thought, well, how can I put all of this together? So then I had input in addition from various board members and also from the students. We had several meetings with them. Howard had pulled them together and said, look, you folks are the ones that will be living with this. And we all wanted to create a work of art that the present students and future students could relate to, and that imagery would become an inspiration for their time here and their time beyond here. And so basically the design is rooted in education, and starting with their path coming through the Brighton schools and then going out into the world to experience with whatever. And we thought that would be a really great way of continuing his love and interest and support of learning and education, and the world was really his field of interest. And so it's all there. And then there's a quote that with the 100 students was selected that says, knowledge is an unending adventure at the edge of uncertainty, by Jacob Borowski. And so we thought that would serve as a great inspiration for the students. I have here a sketch of the design. If you'd like to see it, I'll leave it here so you can see what we were working with. But I want to thank the Brighton School Alumni Association for having the vision, and for Pete's family for sharing a bit of Pete with us and allowing us to share that with the students. All of the staff with the Brighton schools, various superintendents, Rob, who helped us with the lighting and some other issues with regard to the installation, Rochester Glass, and also the lighting division who assisted with Glenn. So I hope you'll enjoy it. I'm sure that the students will enjoy it with their time here, and hopefully they'll remember it in bits and pieces along their journey. So enjoy it. And thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, so for the person who doesn't miss details, I went out of order in the program, and I forgot the most important part.
I was very pleased.
So at this point, I'd like to ask Bev to come up and say a couple of things also about her former husband, Pete.
I'm not kidding when I said I was pleased. Pete was the speaker in the family. I'm not. I'm the crier in the family. So I'll try and get through this. Pete loved Brighton. Born here, lived here. His son now and Patty live in his home. Right off the bat. His friendships. We have two people that started kindergarten with him.
Nursery school.
Alan Camaros and Pierce Webb, which is a wonderful thing that you maintain those friendships through all these years. So that's really terrific. Except for about the 4 years that he's in college, and then he went into the Army, and traveling to Asia. He basically lived in this area all his life. His love of libraries started really when he was a child, a small child. His mother took him to the rundown, to the secret room, and he picked out his books and he played in the secret room. So from very early on, he was a library lover. And as he grew up, it's ironic that he should become president of the friends of public libraries. When I was going through things, probably a year and a half, maybe 2.5 years after his passing, I was going through some books, and one of them is written by his former student, not from Brighton, but from MCC. And I thought I might share with you what he wrote. I found this, and I guess I probably knew when it arrived, but I didn't really remember it. So it's just very touching. This was written in September of 2007. Dear Dr. French, I studied history and political science with you at Monroe Community College from 1993 to 94 and 95 to 96, specifically Renaissance to Napoleon, political philosophy, and American politics. In political philosophy especially, I sat in the front row, just to your left, jotting down vocabulary words you uttered that I did not know, so I could look them up later and, add them to my vocabulary. Your classes were and always have been the highlights of my college career. Your influence on me was neither matched nor surpassed during my subsequent years of schooling. I constantly endeavored to meet the standards you set, and I silently vowed that when I published my first book, I would send it to you. Therefore, please accept with my compliments a copy of my first book, The Madness of Mary Lincoln, published by Southern Illinois University Press. After my first job at Lincoln's home, I went back again as a park ranger in '96, and have been seriously studying the life of Lincoln since then. I have published numerous articles and reviews on the subject. Since he wrote this book, he's written 3 or 4 other books. He's really become a Lincoln scholar. I have been engaged in writing a biography of Lincoln's oldest son, Robert, for a few years. While doing research, I came across some letters mentioning correspondence between Mary Lincoln and Myra Bradwell, most of it written while the former was in an insane asylum. After 5 months, I eventually found these letters, which had been missing and sought after by historians for 80 years. These letters were the basis of my book. Can you imagine? You found the original source. Your husband was one of the biggest influences and inspirations of my life. He, along with my English professor, Barbara Mellenheim, literally helped guide me when I was lost and had no idea which way I was going. To this day, I never let anyone insult community colleges in my presence because my time at MCC is pivotal in my life. I still tell stories to people. Currently, my intern at the newspaper, he also has a day job, about being in your husband's classes. His stories about being Master Sergeant in the Army, you all know those. His wonderful refrain about government and education, who says you are entitled to anything. The way the class had to engage him in discussion or else he would get up and leave the classroom, which he did once in a class, to the complete shock of everyone. And yet always he had a smile on his face, a demeanor full of enthusiasm, and an eagerness to teach us. I think that's one reason he was such a good teacher. He had a flair for the dramatic, and his class was his stage. His vocabulary was wonderful, and I used to write down every word he said that I did not know, and after class look it up in the dictionary. I still do that when I meet unknown words. Thank you again for your email. I am so glad to have received it and to have reminisced about your husband and what I learned from him. I am so pleased my letter was able to touch you and so immediately recall your husband. And it did. It did. I walked around for a couple days crying about it, but it was a wonderful thing. And that's the wonderful thing about being a teacher and education. And he had so many loves. Libraries way up there, but family and church, but teaching was his gift. And thank you so much. This library is such a testimony to him and the young people that will come through. Thank you. And thank you especially to Steve, who spearheaded all this and put so many hours into it.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to invite you all to enjoy some refreshments in the other room. There's also going on in the far corner over there a slideshow of the actual installation of this piece of glass, which took place yesterday morning. It was amazing. That piece of glass is probably somewhere between 300 and 350 pounds. And they got it on a truck, brought it here, carried it off the truck, through the halls, up the elevator, into the library, and managed, and by the way, it was upside down when it came in. So they had to flip it and put it into this frame. And it just was marvelous. I also invite you to come up and take a closer look at the wonderful work of art that this is. All of this glass has been either etched or in some fashion treated to give it different textures. So if we walk around to the backside and look at it, you'll see that more clearly, in particular things like the texture that's in these trees. Also invite you to take a look at the display case, which is out in the entryway. And so at this point, please feel free to enjoy yourself, and thank you again for coming.